have a little bear with an afro on them.
A little bear with an afro on that. What cultural appropriation is this?
And they're from the Chinese market too, so that's mega. All right, in 3, 2, 1.
This is Slashers, your new favorite podcast about your new favorite horror media. My name is Adrienne, and with me today are my esteemed colleagues, co-hosts, and cohorts, Jake and Doug. Boys, say hello to the mutant goons from beyond.
Hello,
Hey.
mutant goo.
We stepped over each
you.
other's stuff. All right, we
No,
better
after
break.
you, Tedden.
Better break some glass here. It's going to be like the Jewish parties where you break glass and step on something because you interrupted. But I'm Doug, and I want to say we're going to have a stabby good time. So hopefully you have a side of pumpkin innards pizza because we're going to get funky today.
I like that stabby good time. That sounds like some kind of jingle, but I don't know what product it would be for.
Oh, no, it's super cute. Like happy, joy, stabby.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, Red and Stimpy. I'm like, who did that? I can't remember. Anyway.
So how the hell has your week been so far, you ghoulish gang of grievances? Alliteration sucks sometimes.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, Aid, how's your school been? Has it been festive and pumpkin-y like most of the schools in Halloween 6? Well, no, it was Halloween. What's the one where they go to the school and Michael's hair turns, he gets so scared he turned white? The fourth one.
I think it's part 4, yeah.
With like the pinkish hue to his mask, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, so since you're at the school, do they actually celebrate and like put the old school like skeletons and pumpkins and like decorations up around the school like they do in the Halloween movies?
No. In fact, the kids were telling me today, they're like, we like you the best because you're the only one who decorates for Halloween. I'm like, thank you. And I play spooky music the whole time in class, like really low in the background. So every now and again, the Halloween theme will come on and I'll turn it up and they're all looking at me and I'm like, hi.
Oh, well, hey, that's the teacher to be. And you said you showed them Beetlejuice, right? When he's like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, today we were talking about this earlier. I played Monster Squad after testing because I had the kids for almost an hour and they start like dropping F-bombs and stuff. And I'm like, and like not fuck, but the other F-bomb. And
yeah, that's a hard one. That's one thing that's really tough, but it's said by the worst character ever. So I feel like you kind of get a pass.
Yeah, but still, like I don't you can't play that now. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I'd have to explain to them. So this was the 80s. This was a very long time ago. But yeah.
Yeah, this is when it was normal to see your boss snorting coke off the co-ed's ass. It's like, oh, that's okay. That's just part of the side gig.
Oh, for sure. So anyway, so what are we talking about today, guys?
Well, I feel like I have drawn the ire of many a person by thinking that a lot of the Halloween franchise kind of sucks. And so, Aid, I've put it on you. It's your job to convince me that a lot of the Halloween franchise doesn't suck and that I suck for thinking it sucks.
Oh, okay. Oh,
it's Halloween Suck Fest here on Slashers.
It's not Suck Fest. Okay, so yeah, I see Doug's holding up RZ's Halloweens, and I have my DVD copies that I meant to get off the shelf, and I forgot to get them. But I did buy this magazine before we go on. And this is what I'm saying that, God, I hope my microphone didn't pick up that crash. Let me restate that. This is why I'm saying that Halloween is not a shitty franchise, because it has an entire magazine dedicated to Halloween this month of Reminds. I've never heard of this magazine before.
I was about to say, remind me what magazine that is that I've never heard of ever.
I don't know, but the entire magazine is about the Halloween franchise. And, I saw it as I was shopping the other day. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to buy this. And it wasn't cheap. It's like $5.99 for this little.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
This little nothing, but I had to buy it.
Well, that reminds me, remember when Kim Kardashian did that paper magazine and everyone's like, oh my God, paper magazine. She's on paper magazine because she's squirting milk all over her ass. And I'm like, no one knew what the fuck paper magazine was before that.
That was Champagne.
Was it paper?
Yeah, it was paper. Have you heard of paper before the whole Kim Kardashian thing? Because I didn't.
Oh,
I haven't heard of it now. So she had ill effect. She had the CM Punk effect where it made it relevant for all of 1 week and then it was gone.
Yeah, well, Bat Boy still lives on in our memories at the grocery store checkout lines. I miss Bat Boy.
Dude, Doug, you would make a great Bat Boy and Bat Boy the musical. I just throwing it out there. Many casting agents listen to this.
Yeah, put me in latex foam. I'll suffer through it. So
Aw. Well, I mean, I'm still thinking it wasn't paper. Was it paper? No, whatever. She hosted Saturday Night Live last weekend. Did you guys watch it?
What?
Kim Kardashian.
yeah, just
That's
pandering to
interesting.
Kim Kardashian fans. It's like, well, I think I'm funny, right?
Well,
That's
now I
pretty
can
much it.
hashtag her this week, and we're getting metadata from her big ass. Okay, but I didn't think she was terrible. They gave her a lot of really good skits that made fun of her. So,
Yeah. That's a
so
great tactic to take.
and her opening outfit was awesome. Like I really liked her outfit, so I'll give her that for someone I don't care for. She has that. I'm trying to be positive today. I feel like I've been very negative all week. So today is positivity, which I'm going to be positive about some of the Halloweens that everyone, namely Jake, hates. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, years ago, I had made a meme where it was like some stupid road. I think it's in Russia, and they had like painted over center dividers like 15 times. And so there's all these fragmented little like dashes on this road, and this guy's like looking at it. And I said it's like explaining the continuity of the Halloween franchise to people, but it's pretty clear. They did a really good job. There's a nice little infographic online that you can find. I think it's even on the Wikipedia. There's Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, and the Curse of Michael Myers are one continuity. 1, 2, H2O Resurrection is another continuity. 1, Halloween 2018, Kills and Ends are another continuity. Rob Zombies 1 and 2 are another continuity. And Halloween 3, Season of the Witch could technically fit any of those because the Halloween franchise is a franchise in that film as it is seen on TV. So that's something I think we should contextualize for people because I think that is a certain element as to my view of the degrees of badness.
Yeah, and the mask gets progressively worse throughout them.
Oh
Like
my
starting with 5, it
God.
looks like a long alien, and then this one here, I think the one in the back of Jake, or it's one of them where he has the chola eyelashes.
Yeah.
yeah,
It was Resurrection where he had the chola eyelashes.
resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I think all of that's fair because they do have a hard time keeping things, I guess, congruous. Is that the word I'm looking for? Why
Yeah,
did I say
that
that?
works.
Yeah, they had a hard time doing that because, especially if you're
For some reason,
watching.
when he said that, it reminded me of Strong Bad being like, consummate bees. I said consummate bees.
Are you guys picking up those birds in the back? Because if not, I'm gonna go turn them into roast chicken right now.
I mean,
I
I
don't wanna-
hear them, but it's a bird.
All
Like
right, well, I'm
birds.
gonna go Rob Zombie's Michael Myers kid. I'll be right back.
Should we
All right.
pause? Or are we gonna?
I'm going to keep going. It was just chat.
Yeah. Oh,
Your eyebrows are on point today. That's rad.
thank you. Well, I had to redraw them on. That's what always takes me so long. When I always look at the clock, I'm like, "Fuck! I didn't draw my eyebrows back on."
Well, nobody gave us feedback on who won the arched eyebrow game that I proposed in the last episode. So I feel like people are
Um,
fucking up, man. I don't expect much from our audience, but I would just love some compliments on my eyebrow Christian Slater, Jack Nicholson-ness.
Oh, is that where you think you fall under?
When my eyebrow, I could do like dual people's eyebrows.
But
Suck it,
you
The
like,
Rock.
okay, you don't like you're making all these faces with your forehead, but your eyebrows don't really move. So I don't know. Okay, now
My
they're
eyebrows
moving.
articulate more than people's mouths, especially those housewives that have had all the Botox.
Wow. Well, it's not Botox in their mouth. They have fillers. There's a difference.
Well, sure, you win.
Thank you.
As someone who's never had botulism injected into my face, you win.
Well, I mean, if you did get Botox, then your eyebrows would forever stand up where mine are. And my Botox is worn off by now. So
Do you remember when you got Botox and you texted us and then I photoshopped Steve Buscemi's eyes onto your eyes?
oh, I hate you. Yes,
Do you
I
remember that?
we have to find that picture now. That's so funny.
Well, too bad they don't. When you get Botox, I've always been an advocate for like a little hole, like where it's like you fill up your tires. So when your Botox is low, you just kind of go to like put a quarter in the machine and just kind of blow it up a
Like,
little bit.
do it yourself. Well, I think you can do it yourself. And isn't there some sort
Yeah,
of
you
meat?
just leave some meat out on the counter. Don't attend to it for a week and get a syringe and just go to town.
That's not what that was made of. Is that true? I probably should look it up, but whatever.
I don't know if you want to. That's the thing.
I don't. I'm happy. I mean, I know that all of my makeup is cruelty free, so I can sleep at night with that at the very least. My fake eyebrows are cruelty free.
There you go.
There we go. All right, so Doug is back. So okay, and so I get why people think why sometimes for some people the Halloween franchise is not their favorite, but for me growing up, Halloween was always my favorite, and I don't know why. I guess I just sort of picked like you had to pick one: Freddy, Jason, Michael. Michael was always my favorite. I think it's because I watched Halloween the first one so many times. Jason is like I don't know. Jason is your favorite, but Jason's kind of like a big oaf sometimes. I feel like his mom is scarier than he is. And then Freddy's fun. Like Freddy's a good time, but he's not as I'm not as scared of Freddy as I think I am of Michael, if that makes any sense. I don't know how you guys feel.
Well, because Freddy doesn't have rules. Established in the first one, he doesn't have rules. And that's one of the things that's frustrating. Like Michael Myers kind of in the first one because he gets up and meanders away. Like there's like the ambiguity of how you defeat him. And then in the first Friday the 13th, you don't even really know if it's a dream or whatever at the end, in terms of like a self-contained story. But from the very onset, Freddy is like, "Hey, you thought you killed me and you didn't, fuck off." And you're just like, that's kind of unfair. And I always liked Jason and Roy because they are the most angry. And I like so as a caveat, I do like especially the original Halloween, and even Doug pointed out like Halloween 2 is really good. It's interesting. The ambiance is good. The amorphousness of him is good. The motivation of him is good. They even refer to him as the shape because he's not even like an entity. He's like, it's all vague. It's like everything about him has a blurred line. Like when you look on a Zoom background and somebody doesn't have a green screen, it's all kind of fuzzy. Like I love that. And then what I really don't like and why I think that the sequels are a betrayal, if you will, et tu brute, is because they add definition and you realize it's kind of like the opposite of beer goggles. It's like sobriety, like post nut clarity, if you will, harkening back to last week with Doug.
Ooh, that was a history lesson in itself here. But yeah, no, I feel exactly what you mean. Freddy was always my favorite, at least like the first three movies. But yeah, so it's funny. I liked Freddy, you like Jason, and Aid liked Michael. So it's fitting.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's very fitting. But no, Halloween was one of those movies that the first time I seen it was I rented it from the library on a VHS, and this is before I've seen Texas. I've seen Texas Chainsaw. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and all these other movies, and Halloween was like one of the last ones I seen. So to me, it wasn't as it was kind of duller than the other films, especially Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like to me, that was horrifying.
Yeah.
As a kid. In fact, my mom made me watch it because she's like, "Here, this is why you don't pick up hitchhikers." I'm like, "Mom, I don't even drive." So
I'm on a tricycle.
yeah, she's like, "Oh, you don't talk to strangers or don't get your photo taken." I'm like, "Well, what do they do at Disneyland? Am I supposed to like not take the photos that the photographers do?" But
Or just don't get the one who's cutting their hand with a straight razor. Go for the Disney employee who's perhaps not engaging in self-destruction.
yeah, see. It's funny. I knew some people that would be like, once the hitchhiker started like burning the picture and cutting himself, it's like, okay, stop doing that. I'll buy the picture from you.
Fine, okay. Do you take Venmo?
I love
But
it. Yeah.
I definitely think that Texas Chainsaw is like almost unfair, kind of like My Bloody Valentine, which I always go back to. It's my favorite. But it's so different. And it's so weird to me how they're not really included. But like you can't compare Texas Chainsaw, that frenetic, uneasy pace. I feel like it's kind of got a blend of the three, Jason, Michael, and Freddy in ways. The bizarreness and almost the comedic nature of Freddy, the anger and like just loathsomeness in this family relationship, and then this just weird, like, how do they exist, like who's the matriarch of this family kind of ambiguity of Michael. So yeah, and honestly, especially when you include, like, if you want to do a franchise, Texas Chainsaw beats Halloween in my opinion, but it's so unfair because it seems like it's just stacked the deck in its favor. I don't know. How do you guys feel in that comparison?
Comparing it to Halloween, well, I definitely say, well, besides the first two Texas Chainsaws, the third one's almost like a whole other movie. The fourth one's a whole other remake, kind of, and then you get the remakes, and you get the sequel to the prequel to the remakes, and then you get Texas Chainsaw 3D, with Leatherface somehow having a mansion and living in a basement, and then you get that French film, which I think that movie would have been better if it wasn't called Leatherface. It was more like a French extreme film that felt something like Martyrs. But I don't know. I just feel like there's more variety in the Texas Chainsaw movies, and I personally like the family aspect of it, especially the first two movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You just can't beat that, and that's why for Halloween, for me, it was always like, the first one is whatever. But I liked two, and everyone hates me, but I like three the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then also you have to look at the production. I mean, Texas Chainsaw came out years before Halloween, but you don't really do a comparison because the nature of the film is so different. The freneticness, the pseudo true crime element, all of those things really make it distinguished. And it's weird to me that you don't compare. But I mean, that's not what we're here for. We're here for Adrian to argue with Jake. And I feel like we're all excited to see how Jake can look down his nose at everybody's hard work in filmmaking, which I've never done personally and have no meretricious argument except that I'm just kind of a snarky asshole.
Well, yeah, I can't disagree with
You
that.
did not expect me to cut it myself with laser focus like that, did you?
Well, okay, but just really quickly though, I think that it's really hard to compare, which is why Leatherface is never really in the category of Freddy, Jason, Michael, because you have the family, and I feel like the setting too is not as gothic as the other ones, as far as, Halloween's usually in like a colder climate in the fall.
Even though you can see the palm trees in the background.
Yeah. Okay.
In Pasadena.
Anyway, let's pretend
we're Californians. Every fucking asshole has been to that sidewalk and taken a picture with that hedge. It's like if you like horror and you're within 300 miles of Pasadena, you've probably taken that picture and posted it on social media at some point. So now that we've addressed it,
that little cement stump has seen more ass than a toilet seat. That's awesome.
Okay, well, I haven't gone, so whatever.
You're not in California. You have a default excuse.
But I mean, like, I would love to go visit where they filmed The Lost Boys too, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. I'd probably end up in a winery anyways. So, but as far as like, it's hard to be scared, I guess. I think it takes a lot of merit though to film a movie in a setting that is not, like dark and dreary, like, because, even Jason's in New Jersey, right? And then we have Freddy is in like the Midwest. Where's Freddy?
He's in Ohio.
He's in Ohio, yeah. So those are all sort of colder climates, like, more dreary type climates. But then you have Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Texas, which is
dry
hot and dry. And then even, like, what do we have? We have in Florida, Jeepers Creepers. Like the beginning of Jeepers Creepers is filmed in Ocala. And so like they had that church in Ocala for years. And I guess some crackhead burned it down. So there's a lot of crackheads in Ocala though. So I'm not surprised. But, I mean, aside from the whole background aspect of, the creator of Jeepers Creepers, the beginning of the movie is scary, even though it's set in this very like, Florida-y backwoods type place. Right. But Floridian. Yes. But you can't really compare. I just don't think you can put those movies or any type of movie that's not like in that same realm with Freddy, Jason, Michael. And sometimes you can like squeeze in Chucky. Sometimes he's in New Jersey too, but he's also in the city. So I don't know. There's like something about like being in like the suburbs and, running away from these scary slashers. Oh, scary slashers. Like in a fall setting. albeit I know that two of the Halloweens, or one of them is the first one's filmed in California. Obviously, we know that because we can see the palm trees, as Jake mentioned, whatever. But also H2O is actually set in California. So
which is funny because schools like that don't exist here. With like oak and dumbwaiters and stuff. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. We have public schools and portable trailers on the asphalt, you asphalt.
Yeah, I really wish that's the one thing I didn't like about H2O. It should have taken place in like South Central, you know what I mean? Because Michael Myers, you know, you get someone going around with a mask and a knife, they'll get shot up.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So,
but, you know, but that also brings me to some of the points that I have to make too, because I feel like 7 and 8 bring in 7, especially H2O brings in LL Cool J, right? So that they can be a little bit inclusive. Like that's as far as they're going to reach with their inclusivity in these films.
And then Resurrection has Busta
and Tyra Banks, right? So we got and Sean Patrick Flannery. So they're like, oh, we're really inclusive with this one, and we brought the internet, and
we got the guy from Barbershop, everyone.
So I'm not Sean Patrick Flannery. What's his name?
Sean Patrick Thomas.
Whatever, because Flannery
pretty damn close. I'm gonna give you that one.
I'm a horrible person.
I just love the idea of you transpose Boondock Saints with Barbershop Saints. It's perfect.
Yeah. That would be perfect.
Can we set it in the Soul Plane universe?
I think that works. That'd be fun.
That's how Michael Myers got his he went to the barber shop. That's how he got his eyelashes done or did.
Funny enough, a former host of this show was sending me a project that they're working on with regard to a mask for Michael Myers. And they had put the hair back so that they could do airbrushing and whatever. And it looked like Michael Myers had cornrows. And I was like, look, I've asked so little of you in the tenure of our friendship. Please just give me this. Please finalize the cornrows and go to your stupid premiere wearing this. Let me down. But if you think that the next installment, Halloween Kills, should feature a cornrowed Michael Myers Bergstein, let me know in the comments, because I am all team Michael Myers cornrows.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Lip liner.
I'd watch it.
I think lip liner would be a great touch with maybe like a little, facial tattoo of sorts.
Well, now we're getting into when Leatherface is super in drag in the Matt McConaughey one, right?
Yes, which I love. It's perfect. Sometimes you're even more true to the source material given the Ed Geinian references.
Yeah, that's a good one though. I like that one.
I like it too. The only problem is he never kills anyone with a chainsaw. There's no chainsaw deaths in there. But I gotta say too, Rick Rosenthal also directed Halloween Resurrection, and he also did Halloween 2. So what happened? What happened?
Okay, so this is all right. So let's get back to our little thing. Okay,
oh, shit.
Before we get into Resurrection, because I want to kind of end my little spiel on Resurrection because I know everybody hates it so fucking much, but I do have a defense. But I looked up the name of the movie. I found out their Rotten Tomatoes percentage rating, but I never listened to Rotten Tomatoes because it's always like 12 people rated. Like, who cares?
Oh, yeah. Like Metacritic, I never go by anything. I take kind of an average of like the user score and the critic score, and then I look at the numbers of each and I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
And people can buy percentages on there. They could say, Universal is doing it. We'll give you $1 million if you give it a 96.
Yeah, I had a lot going on, and then I had open house last night and all these bullshit things going on this week. So for me, I feel like we'll just go with the percentage for now. So we have Halloween 6, which is the one that I'm defending because nobody likes the Curse of Michael Myers except for me for some reason. And by the way, Doug, I looked for that purse this morning. Did not find it on hottopic.com. I'm very sad.
You should have told me. I would have bought it and sent it to you.
I know. Okay, if you go back, let me know and I'll Venmo you because I really want it. We have a Hot Topic here. I guess I can go to the mall and look for it, but I don't ever buy anything at stores anymore. Like everything is ordered now. Like who the hell still goes to the mall? Like literally our only stores left in the mall down the street right now is Hot Topic at Spencer's Gifts.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
well, see, Hot Topic, they really pushed it. I feel bad for the employees because they go in there and the employees like harass you. It's like, hi, do you need help? Let me open you up a credit card. Let me follow you around. I'm like, no, please. Like as soon as we walked in, they started doing that, and then other employees came up and me and Harry were like, all right, roll up the windows, let's go, roll them up. Let's go.
I know that's so sad. I mean, because they're probably not doing well. So, what are you gonna do? But we have a spirit store where the J.C. Penney was.
I have
Okay.
only seen one spirit near me. Doug, do you have any?
Yeah,
near you?
there's one in Pomona, one in West Covina, and one right next to me in San Dimas.
No.
Well, there you go. See, you got to take a little road trip, take a family trip out to the spirit store. That's a good time.
Yeah, see, and everyone's like, "What did you do today?" Well, I took the kids to the family, to the spirit store. They're like, oh, that's weird. I shook my family tree and a bunch of nuts came out. So that's
But anyway, so back to Halloween 6. Curse of Michael Myers came out 95, 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hour and 28 minutes. I know, but it has Paul Rudd. Again, I always defend this one because of Paul Rudd. Marion Hagen, which I don't really know her from anything else. Donald Pleasance is back, and Mitchell Ryan. So basically, this installment marks the return of the seemingly indestructible mass murderer who's targeting Tommy Doyle, a young man tied into the legacy of the killer and his connections with the Strode family. As the supernatural elements of Michael's macabre abilities are explored, his longtime adversary, Dr. Sam Loomis, is also back in another attempt to stop the psychopath's brutal rampages. And this is where we begin the whole bullshit with the thorn, which they sort of kind of allude to it in part 2, where they talk about, quote, Sam Hain. When they say it
Samuel
wrong.
Heine? Yeah.
So they do mention this in part 2. So, were they expecting to expand this? I don't think at the time, maybe not, because they veered off to that other story with part 3. So they go back to Michael Myers. They have 4 and 5 with Danielle Harris, who is supposed to be Laurie's daughter, who is not an H2O.
Yep.
She has a son at this point, H2O, which is Josh. Who is Josh Hartnett?
Joshua.
His
The
first
scat man.
Right.
where he has the haircut that looks like he fell asleep and he never combed his hair and it's like just sticking up from the pillow.
Yeah, but that
He
was
looks
the
like Lloyd
style.
Christmas's son from Dumb and Dumber. I got worms.
Oh my God, that's awful. I used to think he was so hot too. I was like, oh, I can't wait to go to high school so I can date guys like that.
And then Lucky Number 11 came out, and you're like, hey, dodge the bullet.
Yeah, and you realize guys like that smell like old socks and bologna. So I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
and
Yeah.
Axe. Oh, no.
oh,
Not
an Axe body spray. Yeah.
Bod.
Axe
That comes in
bod.
like the Windex bottle.
Those plastic ones. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I know.
Better for the
So-
environment, though. So let's give those bros the credit they're due.
Now,
Yeah.
before you go into that, like Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, I just rewatched both cuts the other night before I was going to sleep, and I do got to say, Halloween 6, I could see the appeal for it because I like how this one almost feels like fan fiction, like in-depth fan fiction, because Yahira's mom like caught wind of it and she didn't know what was going on. She's like, who are these kids? Like she didn't really see all, and she's kind of watched them in between. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, well, that makes sense. But I did like one of the best characters that got killed, Bradford English, the one who plays John Strode, the dad that's like, you coming in here. Like, I'm just like, man, kill this guy already. Kill him. And, there I am cheering for Michael Myers to kill him with a washing machine.
I know. And that's the thing. He dies 2 different ways. He dies much more horrifically in the theatrical cut with all this shit coming out and his like head like bubbles up and sort of explodes. Right. And then in the director's cut, no, what is it? You guys are talking about nutting. Like there's no like gratification with that one, right? There's just nothing happens. Nutting happens. Oh my God, look at me. I made a joke.
It's like when you like here's one for some of our kinkier people. You're doing edging, right? And then you start to bust, but you don't get the orgasm. You just have like a mess. That's what that is. That's never happened to me though.
Of course not.
No, that's why you got to get like a Band-Aid or something to cover your pee hole before it comes, and then just launch a spray like a faucet on both.
Doug, that's not what you do. You get a golf tee and you just shove it in there.
Oh, someone had an
Docking.
STD before.
Oh,
Uh,
no, it wasn't gonorrhea. It turns out it was just a splinter.
Oh,
Just kidding. It's a
that's
joke.
why you got to use WD-40 when you're fucking those tree knots.
Oh,
So
God.
what
How do
are we talking about?
how do we get to the curse of Michael Myers to fucking edging?
I think it's important because it kind of goes to your style. Like, do you want to just get to the gushy goodness, or you want to do the sting tantric sex bullshit? Do you got an extra 8 minutes to add to the length of the film or not? Do you want a tattoo that looks like the little boat from It turned sideways? Go for it. The SS Georgie Porgy or whatever. I mean, this is the fucking problem I have with this trilogy, the Thorn trilogy. Is it's the exact same shit as the new Star Wars sequels, where it's like, hey, here's some ideas, and then somebody's like, fuck those ideas, and then the other person's like, fuck those fucked ideas, and each one is like trying to like restart in a trilogy. They're like, I would love to see somebody like a Topher Grace go in and edit the three of these into like 2 movies, because I think that between the 3 there's like 2 good movies there, but who knows if that footage even exists.
Yeah, well, one thing I got to say with the Curse of Michael Myers, since there is 2 different cuts of this, the theatrical one has the scene where Dr. Loomis walks into the that other doctor's office, and he has the suit and tie, and he's like, "So you found out my plans, huh?" And then in the producer's cut, I think it's the funniest thing in the world. Like Dr. Loomis just walks in and he turns his chair around, and he's wearing like the cult garb. He looks like the cult from The Simpsons. He's just like, "Oh, so you found my rune stones."
The stone cutters, right?
Yeah, the stone cutters. I'm like, oh man, this is like, what would you do? I'm like, you're a little cringy, dude. Why don't you turn that seat back around and do that again?
Yeah, and like, no, go ahead.
I could understand a little bit of the apprehension with the filmmakers, though, because I had always remembered this as being the least profitable Halloween film. But in preparing for today's episode, it was actually 5 that was the least profitable. So I could totally understand where they're like, let's dial it back. Let's kind of rejigger. Let's do that stuff. But then that's the problem when it gets from 5 to 6, is it's just like, we already had something that of ostensibly like a course correction between 4 and 5, where she's not a killer or whatever, and she's a mute or whatever, and then you have another kind of course correction. I really would have loved for it to feel cohesive, because even the producer's cut, which I realized I had seen, when Aid was talking about the different cuts, we'd even talked about it on the show a long time ago, but it's even that version doesn't feel like cohesive to the other 2, right?
Well, I feel because I just saw the director's cut, and they explained what happened to Jamie at the end of 5, and that the Thorn people had taken her, and that's why they had her at the beginning of this one. Because in the theatrical cut, there's no explanation. Like, she wakes up there, like they have her. So where did they get her? And then the director's cut, they alluded the fact that Michael had raped her.
Which is incest.
Yeah, and that's where the baby came from. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I was just like, I didn't know. Like, I prefer the other one where I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it's really gory and it's fun, and they've got a lot of fun grunge, 90s music, and Paul Rudd saves the day because he's kind of like really fucking creepy in the director's version. And I'm like, I don't like Paul Rudd this way. Let's bring him back to the other one. So,
well, the writer even talked about him being a sexual deviant, the Daniel Ferrandes. Which is just it all comes to varying degrees. And that's one of the things being so far removed. Like, we look back at stuff like Black Christmas, and we're like, oh, it's so lurid, it's so gross. Is it that much grosser than like Michael Myers watching his sister fuck? Like,
yeah,
there's some questions that we have to ask.
I don't know, but it's weird because and I don't know if it's that time, but even, what is it? The one where they're at the carnival and they get stuck in the fun house. What is it called?
Not a fun
one from the 80s.
Oh, the fun house, or
is it Fun House?
You were talking about the one where the Frankenstein monster, right?
Ugly
Weird.
face.
Oh yeah. And
Fun House.
Oh yeah, Fun House. Okay.
I thought you were talking about in the Halloween franchise. I'm like, I don't remember.
No. Fun House was just completely unrelated. But back then, they show the brother walking in and watching the sister taking a shower, and I'm like, is this what we think little brothers do? Like, watch I don't remember my brother doing that. Like,
according to the front page of Pornhub, though, yeah, that's probably what happens.
And then I remember in that movie too, the gypsy was the monster's mom, and he gives him a hand job.
Yes.
and she like wipes the cum off. I'm like, man, this is graphic.
That movie that's a good movie. Oh, I don't know why I've never talked about that. Oh, did we hear the
We
fire
hear the
truck?
sirens. It's okay.
There we go. It's a 6-star warrant.
Yeah.
I know. It's a lot of
Kill
traffic.
frenzy. Is that still a thing? I haven't GTA'd since San Andreas, I think.
Kill Frenzy. Wasn't that from the first game? Kill Frenzy. That's going way back to PlayStation 1 days.
At least 2 and 3, I remember, because there was one in the first where you're the mute guy with the leather jacket and the green pants. There was one at the hospital, like to the side, and there was up some stairs. So I remember I got the Kill Frenzy and then I jumped over the rail because I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm gonna kill some people. And I like took a bunch of damage and broke my legs and then got up and I was already arrested. So, the things that stick with you, the lingering failures.
It's a regular Tuesday night. Oh, all I remember is watching my ex-boyfriend play that game and then picking up hookers all the time. Like that's all I can remember. So
He was sending you harsh signals like hello.
I was
be
I'm not hookery enough.
Lucky girl.
Now that I think about it, that's kind of sadistic. I felt like the kid in Rob Zombie's Halloween. What I used to do is I'd go pick up the hookers and we'd go on a bridge, they would fuck, and then I'd drive up close to the bridge so when they exit the door, they fall into the water.
So you wouldn't even want your money back.
No,
like dinner and a show. Oh wait, I guess not dinner and a show. Well, it depends on if you do cunnilingus or not. And then the show.
Yeah, I just said, okay, you can keep your tip money. Now you're a part of the ocean.
Halloween is supposed to be family friendly. Hello.
Here's Doug. You got the motion of the ocean. Now you got the ocean of the ocean.
Yeah, and then my brother would sit next to me and make all these loans, and you could spray them look like the fire hydrant. I remember we would set things on fire, and he's like, "That's how you hose the hose." So,
there you go.
See, that was why people, have no respect for sex workers because of GTA. So
honestly, imagine the vitriol if you did Cruising meets Grand Theft Auto 3. Like people were already really upset about like heterosexual hookerness, but imagine if it was like, hey, I'm fisting a guy in a public bar. I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been a fun mini game.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I was killing everybody in Grand Theft Auto. Old people, young people, some as big as your head and bigger. So
okay. Well, anyways, back to Halloween. So let's move on to Halloween 7, H2O 98, 20 years later, or Halloween water, as people like to say. So I just thought it was
super frustrating because I was like, Deep Blue Sea, it's gonna be like Michael Myers Goes Hawaiian, and then it was in a musty old building with wooden banisters. Fuck out of here.
I would love if my school looked like that. That would be so great.
I would also love if Michael Myers wore a Hawaiian shirt.
Well, I mean, they take those like sexy slasher pictures on the beach now.
Hold on, I'm Googling this. Do you think that the Halloween theme has ever been played on a steel drum?
I'm sure it has been. It's probably on YouTube. I know people that do. There's this YouTube channel where they make music on floppy disks, and it plays like through like Commodore 64, like floppies, and it's the sound of the machine moving.
Yep, I found it. It's on YouTube. Halloween themed steel drum cover. Open parenthetical, very spooky, closed parenthetical.
Very spooky.
It actually sounds pretty good. It's in my ears right now.
Well, you should play that at your class, Aid. It's like we're gonna play something real spooky, and the kids are like getting down, like, I want to roast a pig now.
Oh my god. Okay.
You could be like, oh, a manj with the ganja. He got the greenest eyes. The ganja's eyes.
The ganja's
Rasta.
Jake's appropriation over here, people.
I don't know if I'm racist by saying that. I'm trying to make fun of stoners.
You never seen
Jack Black in still know what you did last summer. That's who I'm making fun of.
Oh my god. Okay. Back to the subject. Okay, so we have anyways, 98, 20 years after the fact, and it grossed 55 million, 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ooh. And it's only a few minutes shorter than the other one, an hour and 25. And obviously at this one, we have Michael finding Lori 20 years later. She's got a new name. and she's got a son who's 17, and she teaches. She's like the headmistress at this amazing school. Like, I want her job. I want her job. I want the job. And she goes and drinks 2 glasses of wine at lunchtime.
There you go.
I'm like, is this my future?
She's not the stuffy school marm type lady from True Lies.
Yeah, and she didn't dump out the wine. She's like, 1987. This is expired. Let's dump that out.
So if we're talking about continuity, I love the fact, and this is completely off the wall, and it just made me think of it. But Lori, obviously, she's very like bookish and meek. And remember in the first one, she wanted to go to homecoming with this guy, Bennett Tramer. And she was really mortified when Annie was like called him up and told her about it. And she was like, Annie, you have to call him back. I'm so embarrassed. In part 2, Bennett Tramer is the one who looked like Michael Myers. They crashed into the car and he went up in flames and died. So I guess she's never going to go to homecoming with Bennett Tramer.
No, you can, just extra crispy.
So. Yeah, dude. Just carry an urn.
Anyway, so back to H2O. So she's obviously, Lori has, she's an alcoholic, a functioning alcoholic, and she's just still not over all this bullshit with Michael. So I guess H2O basically ignores 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
And just moves on to 7, which I like. Brings in LL Cool J, and he's not annoying. He's not like Busta Rhymes in Resurrection. Like, he's not irritating.
He's not like a disrespectfully token character. Yeah.
No, he's just, he's the security guard. He's adorable. He's trying to, write his romance novels. He's just fucking around on the job, and that's how Michael gets.
You gotta love that he always has like extracurricular ambitions. Like, even I referenced Deep Blue Sea earlier. Like, yeah, I got this gig, but I want to host my Emerald Lagasse show. Bam.
Yeah, like he's, and he's a lovable character. I think he does those types of characters so well because you really want to see him live to the end. And in this one he does. Spoiler, sorry. You think he dies, but he doesn't. Oh. And but I, with the only one with this one, I think that the issue with this one was that Michael isn't as big as he normally is. I think this is the shortest Michael Myers, I want to say. I was reading somewhere a long time ago.
He's like the Tom Cruise of Michael Myers in this one.
Yeah, he's like the smallest one. So whatever. Because, if you look at that and then Tyler Mane playing him, clearly huge difference.
Who is taller? Was it Tyler Mane or Gucci Mane?
I don't know.
I thought they were related. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Make a hell of a pro wrestling tag team, wouldn't they?
Oh, I should have went and got my Tyler. I got Tyler Mane autographed as Michael Myers, and it says, "Don't get up. Don't make me get up, Adrian." Anyway, I know. Could just take me away from all this shit, will you? Anyways, so
But yeah, Brad Lorre played him in that movie. 6'2", not terrible. If I'm not, Dick Warlock was shorter than that, right?
Okay, what part was that? I can't remember. Well, and that's it. But he just looks smaller in stature, like
Atkins.
Thinner.
He's protein loading.
Okay.
No carbs.
Right. Yeah. Well, there you go. So, but Nancy Steven comes back at the beginning. I love the little cameo with Joseph Gordon-Levitt with the ice skate in his face. Oh, so good. And I like that. That they cleaned up Dr. Loomis's story really well because she was caring for him, and that's why Michael went there to find out information on where Lori was. So that's how he finds her. And so it's nice. It would be nice if that ended there when she beheaded him at the end. I did like the teens in this movie. Jodie Lynn O'Keefe was great. I love the part where she gets her leg caught in the dumbwaiter. And like when she pulls it out, it's like hanging by a thread and she's dragging herself across the floor. I'm like, oh, it's so good. It was so good. And it's legitimately, I think that part is really scary in that movie. And in fact, I remember watching it. We rented it when I would have been 10. And me and my cousin, my dad rented it for my cousins and me, and we all watched it. And literally that gave me goosebumps, and I was really scared at that part. So anyways, moving on. So I think that it's a good installment. I don't know why people don't like it, because honestly, I feel like it wraps it up really nicely. It just kind of makes sense. Is California, or that posh school, a very gothic setting and scary setting? At night, I think it was. I think it did its job. Like, there were old parts in the school that were scary, that the kids were in there in the dark and stuff. So a lot of locked gates that they couldn't get through. Whatever. It had fun. I had fun with that one.
Honestly, I like that one. I think it's fun. I think it's well done. The pacing is interesting. The settings being where they are. You know, I think it's
Mhm.
definitely drawn upon pretty heavily in 2018. I think they definitely looked at what they did there in resetting the continuity and they changed it. Instead of trying to overcome her demons with alcohol and substance abuse, she's obviously become like a doomsday prepper. So there's stuff, there's enough stuff there. But I mean, and I get that Michael has been a bit of a prankster. You know, you go back to even the first one with the sheet, he's a little bit of a prankster. But the idea that he's going to dress a guy up in his mask and clothes and watch from the bushes, I'm assuming masturbating while the guy gets his head cut off, conveniently wait and then wait a ambiguous amount of time to come back in resurrection. Silly, trite, contrived. No, thank you. But that goes to my original issue is I like Halloween, and then the next one's like, "Goo," and the next one's like, "Goo," the next one's like,
Yeah.
"Goo."
Well, okay. So
Have
we're
you
gonna
watched Halloween 5 recently?
Ugh.
Ugh.
I don't have a voice, and I'm actually not a murderer. I'm a little girl. Me.
Well, I was just kind of surprised, like the whole thing, like the tonally, it's odd because there's a scene where the cops are like, "Well, we didn't see anything in here," and then it's playing like clown, like squawk, like duck squawk music.
The penguins. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, man, what the hell happened here?
Yeah, no, I know. And that's the thing too, because I always feel like 4 and 5 are just the weakest ones. And I don't know, because I just don't like the idea of a little girl being involved. I do like the ending of 4 that that it's her. And I
Yeah.
think that Rob Zombie even comes back to that with part 2 with Lori and everything. Sort of comes back to that trope of oh, she's the killer now. Oh. But as far as the in between, yeah, is Resurrection the strongest one? Obviously not. But it 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, an hour and 29 minutes. They try to like stuff it with all of these people. Sean Patrick Thomas is in it. Like I said, Ryan Merriman, like all of these Disney Channel kids were in the movie. Like Ryan Merriman, Daisy McCracken. I think she's in like Hallmark movies now. I'm like, what are these people doing in this fucking movie? And then it's 2002. So I think they really tried to sort of put it with the time, especially because, the internet was like becoming what it is now, right? So they've got like this streaming reality show that you have to watch online, and they have headsets on and they're going into the Myers house and staying there overnight, which I think is a good premise.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like Busta Rhymes in it? No, I think he's terrible. His whole kung fu thing, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, shut up, please.
Eye roller, yeah.
I mean, if anybody had to die, like they killed Tyra Banks, they don't even show her death, which pisses me off. So there are some issues I have with it, but I do like the fact that on the DVD, if you have the old one from back in the day, they do have the entire film from when the headsets from the actors, because the actors' headsets actually do function. They were on the whole time in filming.
Oh.
So they cut the movie through the camera, so you have a whole first person point of view version of it, which I think is really good.
That's interesting. I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's actually scarier than the actual film because it cuts out all of the, all the filler they had to have. I do like the fact that they kind of ended Laurie's story in that one, though, at the beginning, that she dies and then we just move on. Because at this point, I think that some of the success with Friday the 13th is that you're basically, with the exception of Tommy Jarvis, I guess, but you're kind of starting over every movie, right? Whereas Halloween tries to drag all of these people with it the whole way. I mean, even with Friday the 13th, we pick up new characters and the old ones die off, like not Friday the 13th, I'm sorry. Nightmare on Elm Street. We do kill Nancy in part, part
you
2
get
picks
kind
up.
of the same with Hellraiser as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Until she comes back later on when they kind of like try and reboot the franchise. But that's the thing, like the Halloween franchise seems so fractured and fragmented because they keep trying to have the continuity. Whereas I think you're totally right. If you just kind of use a clean slate over and over again, how are these fucking kids keep end up out of my camp? I'm assuming that's what Jason sounds like under the mask.
He's Italian.
Hey, Skunada, get you on a Crystal Lake, okay?
Well, he's from Jersey, so he could be Guido.
I would love
true.
so much to see him like pointing at his 6-pack the whole time.
Oh my God, he would be Guido. You're right, because he is Jersey. Oh
Gold chain. That would be so great if Corey Feldman or whatever the fuck kid killed him by strangling him with his gold chain.
he's like, tricks on you. I actually sold you fool's gold. No.
And that's how he gets struck by lightning and comes back. It strikes the gold chain, resuscitates his still beating heart. Real quick, Resurrection. Look at the screenwriters. One dude, no Wikipedia. Other dude, let's look at this objectively. Wrote the script for Cube 2 Hypercube. That is the name of that movie. It's very bad.
Cube
He
Squared.
Also, The Crow, Wicked Prayer, the one with Edward Furlong.
Oh my
Was
God.
already getting a little husky by that point as the titular Crow. Conan the Barbarian with Jason Momoa, and The Legend of Hercules with not The Rock, that came out around the same time as The Rock. So yeah, Sean Hood, I'm glad that you're making a living. I'm glad that you're ostensibly a USC adjunct professor, but also if we could just expunge the world of your filmography, I'd be a happier person today.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad ones there. I agree. But I mean, I forget. I remember reading something on the 2000 on Resurrection that they were like just trying to pump it out. It wasn't anything that they cared or thought about. I mean,
Less budget. This is a cash grab if you could. I mean, because really H2O was like an exponential amount of growth. I mean, especially comparatively, it was kind of like the 5 to 15 over and over again. And that one shot up the numbers pretty significantly. And so they just went for it. And I think that's a huge whiff, which prompted a reboot 5 years later, which, I mean, when people make fun of, the Spider-Man versus Amazing Spider-Man, it's not that different than Resurrection to Rob Zombie.
Yeah. Well, let me get your opinion. You guys like the Rob Zombie one? Because I love the Rob Zombie one. In fact, when I seen it in the theaters, the theatrical cut is different from the director's cut again. So there's some things.
A little longer, yeah.
It's longer, but you want to know what? I think the first 40 minutes of Rob Zombie's Halloween is great. Granted, it takes away the whole mystic thing of the shape and just being purely evil. You get, maybe he was evil. He was just kind of grown up in this really fucked up household. So, if Monster Squad was throwing on the F word, I can't even remember how many times I counted it in the first 4 minutes of Rob Zombie's version.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's typical Rob Zombie, but I love that. I love the shots that he does, the close-ups, and I think the family dynamic really adds because I love Donald Pleasance, which I'm not saying, Michael McDonald is better than Donald Pleasance, but I think the way he took the Dr. Loomis character, this is how a remake should be. It should be completely different. And I think that's what Rob Zombie did. There was some that if you watch it, the first hour is Rob Zombies, and afterwards it's like, okay, you gotta do a carbon copy of Halloween.
Yep, exactly.
So it follows the same treads and stuff. But yeah, I really like Lori in this one here. She's very how a teen would be, during all that. Well, in a Rob Zombie movie, at least.
What frustrates me is it's just like this is the epitome of talk about this all the time when it comes to metadata. You could have just made this its own movie, and I think that it's way better because it doesn't have the mystique of the shape being lost. Like, I wouldn't feel that comparative analysis because that's like the one thing I really liked about the original Halloween, that I like those blurred lines versus here you get, HD, super gritty, almost to a point of like pervasively looking at like it's very voyeuristic. You're seeing people at their worst over and over again. One thing I will say, the orange paper mache mask is my favorite Halloween mask. I like it better than the original Shatner mask. It is awesome. And it's very sad that it's not like the thing. Like, imagine if that was just his mask from, day one, episode 1, you'd be fucking stoked.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I think that a lot of people are angry at the remake, and they're angry at Rob Zombie doing this, right? Just like they're angry with Monsters. So I feel like the people went into it not wanting to see it. I do like that it's grittier. I do like that it's more disgusting. I do like the beginning part, but I don't really necessarily think that that's how the initial Michael Myers grew up. I think he had a nice little family, and I think that he was just crazy, and I think that's good enough. I don't think
it's better if it's not a broken home, right? If he has every excuse to be reasonable and rational and normal, but despite the best of circumstances, he's still a monster. that as a parent, that's what fucking scares me. Is like I could do my best with my kids and they could still end up fucking evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing from that, because I rewatched this again recently, and it's like, yeah, he's going through the whole family trauma, but then you also have, Judith and all these, part of she's doing fine. It's still a broken house and stuff, but she's doing fine. So I think there is still some sort of that, like, inner evil, as Dr. Loomis says, because I do like that whole Dr. Loomis interview where he's like, these are the face of a true psychopath. It's very different. I'm not going to say it's better than the original. Well, I think the original one is a little, it's kind of, I think it's dull, to be honest, because I like Halloween 2 more. But, if I say that, you're going to see me hung up outside on El Monte Avenue over in the overpass. So, it's different. It's still Rob Zombie, but the thing is, like, I like the whole aspect with Dr. Loomis playing. He's more sympathetic in this one here. I feel like I'm really rooting for Dr. Loomis because it's like, in the second movie, that's a whole other story because he's playing like this, diva glam author. But no, like I said, I really like the first movie more so than the original Halloween, but not as good as like Halloween 2 or something like that. It's something completely different. I recommend watching it without watching the other Halloween movies. Like if you're having a marathon, try to watch those like a few days later or something, or separately from, your. Yeah, or reverse too. Yeah, you might.
That's one thing we talked about with the remakes episode is the remake, while it might not be as classically good in a filmmaking sense or in a film history sense, at least it could give somebody the vested interest to go back and maybe have the patience for that pacing. And you're obviously going to be frustrated going from any movie from 2000 to the 70s. It's just the pace, the style of film is different. But if you actually care about the characters and the comparative analysis, it's super easy to get into.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I remember my mom watched the Rob Zombie one. She said it was scary. She did not like the fact that Lori was fingering a bagel. She's like, Lori would never do that. My mom was very adamant. Lori would never be that way, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
That's where she drew the line. That's her principle.
That I said of everything that you want. I mean, because when you watch the theatrical cut, especially at Lou Temple, you guys have to go back and listen to the interview. The part where they're raping the girl in front of Michael Myers. You don't really see that in the theatrical cut. You see in the director's cut. It's much longer. It's awful. And you're almost like happy that he kills them, right? Yeah,
he's kind of like the Toxic Avenger in that scene. I'm like, okay, you're in superhero territory.
But then you're reminded how evil he is because Danny Trejo. And I'm like, and then, you have to remember, this is the Rob Zombie film. So we're going to have Danny Trejo in it. We're going to have Ken Foree. So now we know what happened.
Clint Howard.
And where Michael got his suit. And so you get all of these other gritty little tidbits and stuff that are very, very Rob Zombie in style. And I do like that. So if you like that and like having that in a Halloween movie, I think that's great. I think it gets a little convoluted because I assume that when Michael's growing up in the Rob Zombie one, did it say what year it is? I assume it's in the 80s. Feels like it's in the 80s.
Yeah, because it's set in the modern day for 2007. So I assume that's a timeline.
So then if you do the math, I don't know. It's weird. I tried doing the math back then and it was something about it was off to me, but whatever. And then of course, Danielle Harris is playing a high school girl. I think at this time she's like almost 30. So I like that they brought her back. But then Brad Dourif plays her father, Chief Brackett, which I love. And Dee Wallace is the mom. And so, there's all these little fun things that he brings to the movies. Margot Kidder is in part 2. She's
exactly.
The therapist. So I just love that.
Weird Al is also into.
Oh,
so people need to have some fucking respect.
Octavia Spencer's in part 2.
Which is crazy when she plays the nurse. Yeah, because it's just like she went on to great heights.
I know he even comments, Rob Zombie was saying, it's like, I have an Academy Award winner and I'm putting her, like, I'm murdering her on Halloween. Like, this is.
Well, it almost makes you wish that they did the treatment like they did to Carrie when they're like, John Travolta became big and they're like, oh yeah, Carrie starring John Travolta. Like you almost wish that they would go back like Halloween 2 from fucking whatever. It's Octavia's breakout performance.
Well, that's what they did with.
She'd be famous.
Well, that's what they did with Leprechaun because the new DVD version of it has you remember
Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah, she's on the cover like she has like the big O face. I'm like, oh yeah, she was the worst part of that movie.
Well, George Clooney with Grizzly 2 and with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 2 or Return of the Killer Tomatoes. There's a few of those little gems. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, but I don't think there's the what I like about the Rob Zombie one too is that the characters are more memorable. Like for example, can you remember besides "I got your ghost, Bob"? There's not many memorable characters like for example, Kenbury.
Speed kills, asshole.
Yeah, Joe Grizzly, bitch. So I mean, memorable stuff like that. Um, yeah, and I love and as awful as the dialogue is, like that's the kind of dialogue I love. That's the thing. It's almost like asking John Waters or something to remake Halloween. If you tell a director like that, you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get similar dialogue and get like they asked Rob Zombie and they're like, wait, this isn't like what the fuck did you expect? It's Rob Zombie. You're gonna get vulgarities. You're gonna get characters saying your daughter has a nice piece of ass. I wouldn't mind fucking that. Just
you'd almost feel betrayed if you didn't. You'd be like,
Yeah.
what is this? Are you watering him down? Is this the like I remember when Avenged Sevenfold and M Shadow started singing, people like had to keep making excuses like, oh, he thrashed his voice and everything. You listen to him and he's like, no, I always just wanted to sing. And it was just the kind of genre we were doing when I was screaming. And then we grew up and it's like,
And he has a beautiful voice, ladies and gentlemen. So there's that.
Well, what I don't know why I find it so funny. I always like laugh out loud in Rob Zombie's one where they're fighting the bullies are kind of beating up Michael Myers in the bathroom. And then the principal walks and he's like, what are you doing? Break it up. Like he's trying to save Michael Myers. And Michael Myers just like, fuck you. He's like, what did you say, young man? He just like, I don't know. I just find it funny. It's like he's coming in here to save your ass and you tell him to fuck off. So, there you go.
But it also shows the complexities of being a kid. Like that's one thing I actually genuinely like is the misguided anger. People being so reactionary and impulsive. And in that situation, by being saved, he's basically putting a bigger target on the kid. Elements like that could have been fleshed out if you weren't having to, like Adrian said earlier, basically go from there on. Okay, now we have to do a rework of John Carpenter. If they could have explored that, I think it would have worked a lot better.
I mean, honestly, I would have liked it if he was a kid throughout the whole movie. Like,
then make Halloween 2 like him
Mhm.
as that could be cool. Well, just imagine his years in the asylum. Like Hannibal Lecter, they do a pretty damn good job in the later installments, like biting the nurse's face, and they do things to make sure that even in Silence of the Lambs, that he isn't just sitting in a room. He is evil incarnate. He's continually scheming. He's like a shark. He's always moving. And imagine you do that with Michael Myers because he's been institutionalized for fucking 20 years. You mean to tell me that in 20 years, not a single drop of blood was spilled? And that's one thing in 2018, when it's just like him standing in a yard, I was like, come on, I was fucking stab somebody in the neck. Come on, a little bit.
Well, he was in prison though in 2018.
With the stupid checker pattern thing. That's what I'm saying though. Like make him like be, bleeding people ritualistically in cells and stuff.
Yeah, well, then maybe that's why part 6 works if you watch the director's cut, because then they kept him this whole time. So that's how he's hanging out. That's where he goes after he kills all these people. He just goes home and hangs out. And
yeah, well, I like Michael Myers in the 6th movie because the guy who played him, he had like a little bit of a pot belly. So like in that first scene when he like hangs that nurse up against that metal spike in the hallway. Yeah, it's like he kind of just stands there and I remember I was watching this with Coker, and Coker's just like, yeah, Michael let himself go a little bit. That's what happens.
He's older.
He's older. Well, he's got like the boomer gut, you know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, that's right. I just got done cutting my grass. Looks good.
Metabolism slowing down.
Yeah, that's how I thought Michael Myers was. He's like, well, today was a hard day's work. Time to go get a brewski. So.
Oh my God. I feel like Freddie would go get a beer. Like Freddie is more of a beer person.
No,
like
Freddie's a mixed
more
drink.
Like a Mai Tai. Yeah, or like a pina colada.
Okay. So then Michael would have a beer. I think
like an antagonistically foofy drink, I think is what Freddie, he'd have like a fuzzy navel and be like, say something, go ahead.
Yeah,
I used to have a friend who'd get a Scooby snack, which is apparently like sugar covered sugar liquor. And he'd be like, yeah, do you want to say something? And he'd like want to like throw down with people. He's like, it tastes fucking delicious. Calm the fuck down, Bogdan.
So that's the difference with that there. But I will gotta say, Michael Myers is menacing as an adult in Rob Zombies because that guy was fucking huge. I'm like, yeah, and you do feel bad for the character. Like I said, that's the difference with the John Carpenter one versus the Rob Zombie one. Rob Zombie spends a little more time with some of the characters, so you feel bad for him. Like you feel bad for Danny Trejo when he's like, "I was good to you, Mikey. I was good." You know what I mean? Like, but in the original, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but like some of the characters are just like, "Oh, let's go smoke pot and have sex." There's not much character development, so you're not going to feel bad. It's like, okay, well, Michael Myers is fucking around in a bed sheet. Just kill him already. These people are boring.
I think he puts the bed sheet on in the remake too, but it's scarier, I guess. You know what? I always think that it's scary in the old one when the door opens and he's just standing there. He's not standing up straight. He's a little bent, right? And there's something about, but there's something about the way he's standing there. I hate that. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, see, here's another little analysis on the Rob Zombie one, and I didn't pick up on this before, but I like the fact that, like, as a kid, and I get, like, even when he's like he turns into an adult, he puts the mask on when he's like in that shape mode where he's like emotionless and he'll kill anybody, and then he'll take it off and they'll take it back on, like, and he's doing that whole conversation with Dr. Loomis, and then he kills.
I like to imagine that La Parka was the same way. It's a pro wrestler who used to wear a skeleton mask and a hood, and he'd have a chair and he'd hit people with a chair, and then he'd do a funky chicken dance. So I imagine when he didn't have the mask, not hitting people with chairs, no funky chicken to be seen.
Yeah, and he's like, well, that wasn't me under the mask, so the insurance can go fuck themselves. That wasn't me.
Exactly.
So that's what Michael Myers is. I didn't kill those people, and that was the mask. He could go blame Spirit Halloween. Go file a lawsuit with them. Well, here's something that's funny. You just mentioned that up. I was reading some articles today. Some lady is suing her car rental insurance because she got an STD in a car she rented. She had sex in the car.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so the car rental place is like, well, it's like, under the contract, I got an STD in your car, and it doesn't say any. So I don't know. It's going to court. Isn't that crazy? It's going to claims
They might
court.
just want the precedence. There are certain times where you want, even if the cost of litigation is prohibitive compared to what a settlement would be. Sometimes, like, I have a couple cases like that right now where my clients are like, hey, you have carte blanche authority to do whatever you think is appropriate. And I'm like, okay, I'll just fight till the wheels come off. Actually, I wrote a really scathing petition for costs earlier this week because a guy referred to my co-defendant as the C word, a B word, said that he hoped that she was the victim of domestic violence, hoped she got in a car accident, all those things. So yeah, words can hurt people. Let's be a little sweeter.
Was that the Tiger King you're referring to about?
Not far from it.
Goddamn Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
I will never recover from this financially.
Carol Baskin's the cause of COVID.
Goddamn bitch, Carol.
Do you ever? It pisses me off. My kid loves the Offspring cover of that song and the music video where it's the person in the tiger mascot doing skateboarding tricks, and then YouTube took it down. So if you have a copy of that, send it to me in MP4 format so I can show it to my kid.
Aw. But so Doug, did you want to talk about part 2 really quick?
Yeah. So I'll admit, I remember when I first watched part 2. This is like when I first moved out to California. I graduated. When did that kind of? Yeah, because I graduated high school around that time. Then I came back for AIT for my military, and I was already pissed. So I watched Halloween 2, and I was just like, yeah, I don't like this. I was already in a bad mood when I first seen it, and then I finally got the box set, the Halloween box set with all the movies, and I rewatched 2, and something hit me. It was like, you know what, this as much as I didn't like it, and I see the hate online, this is different. This is what Rob Zombie originally intended. And if you take the Halloween name off of it, like you said, the whole metadata thing, this would be a great Rob Zombie film. This is probably the most brutal and like sadistic Halloween movie out of all of them. Even including the new ones. I don't even think the new ones are that graphic. But now this one, you get Michael Myers demasked like almost through half the movie. So I know that's a pretty controversial thing there. But you do get Richard Brake in this film, and he has wonderful lines of saying "fuh, fuh," like when he gets in that car accident. I counted. I think he says like 30 times "fuh, fuh." He doesn't even say "fuck." It's "fuh."
That's so good.
And then that Doomhead type voice. But no, so Halloween 2, I like it. It's a great grindhouse style film.
Yeah. It's totally not even. This is way closer to your like Texas Chainsaw than it is to your traditional Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is I remember the advertisement was like they call it like a violent stabathon, and that's exactly how it is because the first few minutes of the movie, it's in the hospital. So there's like the homage. So I think that's where Rob Zombie's like, okay, if I have to remake Halloween 2, I'm gonna do the first 10 minutes in a hospital and then make it my own movie.
Yeah.
And then there you go. There's Halloween 2. The hospital stuff's great. I think it's very tense. The scene where she runs out in the rain into the security guy's office, like that's some really intense stuff. But as I said before, if you watch Halloween 2 by itself, you'll like it. It's a great drive-in movie. It's great to show the friends and kids and family. And, just the scene like when he's out in that field and they're like, oh, who's this fucker? Ha, ha, ha. And he just goes and stabs those truckers and stuff. It's very different. And what I do give kudos to Rob Zombie is that this film was shot in 16 millimeter. So, that's what gives that real extra dirty feel to it. And I was reading and watching like some special features on there. When they went to the airport, a lot of the film stock was destroyed through TSA security. Because when it goes through the X-rays, yeah.
Yep.
So, a lot of this stuff had to be reshot.
Oh my God.
So yeah, and it's almost shot like how Rob Zombie did with Devil's Rejects. It was a really quick shoot. And he was just tired of that's why he's like, I'm not doing studio films anymore. I'm going to do my own shit because look, Harvey Weinstein's blowing smoke up my ass, pushing me. The suits are all coming in saying we got to do this and this and this. But no, I mean, this is great. And then you get, who's the other Rob Zombie guy that's in all his movies? The guy with the handlebar mustache. I can't remember his name, but he has a good death at the strip club. Remember, he gets like his head smashed. Like there's really brutal gore in this film. And I don't know. I like it as much. It almost feels like you have to give it a crutch because it feels like, and even though it's like one of Rob Zombie's later films, it feels like a student film.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wonder if it feels like a student film because he's trying so desperately to do anything but what he's supposed to do. So it almost feels like incongruous. Like you have, like there's the derivative stuff and there's stuff that's completely different. And it has like this kind of feeling of like Bender saying, I'm going to go make my own film with blackjack and hookers, quite literally. So I think that might have something to do with it. Yeah.
Well, did you guys like Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie one?
I mean, as much as I could.
I had problems with it when I first saw it. I do love the beginning sequence in the hospital. I think it's great. I love what's going on with Lori. My issues that I have with it is one, Sherry Moon has to fucking be in the movie for some reason. Like she didn't need to be in this one.
So we have to
get her in there somehow. So now it's like this white horse bullshit. So I hated that, which I know is like artsy fartsy, whatever. And I should like that because usually I like that, but I don't like it for this movie. And I don't like the fact that a lot of the sequences that do happen are just dreams that Lori has. So you never know if this is really happening or not. And that was
wrong franchise, lady. Dreams are not for you. It's Freddy Krueger territory.
So,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, were you guys annoyed? Now, this film, I can't say Laurie Strode is pretty annoying. She is screaming a lot in this film. So I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, shut up already.
I mean, having somebody be sympathetic and desperate and scared doesn't really offend me. It's all how you do it, and I think that it's just kind of,
Well,
whatever.
You said you like the sheriff, right? Brad Dourif. And that's one thing I got to give props to Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie can make, mainstream actors look ugly, the ugliest way they can. Brad Dourif looks like he hasn't taken a shower in 3 months. You see like that beard? I'm like, holy shit. And I watched it on 4K OLED TV. So it's just like, man, Brad Dourif, you need to take a shower. You're looking like the Grizzly Man.
I mean, everybody.
The Grizzly Man who was eaten by the Grizzlies, who he was like homies with.
He looks like that, but if the grizzly bear shit him out, that would be how Brad Dourif would look in Halloween 2.
But that's the thing though, is that all of his characters are always decrepit and just very run down, and I could see that happening with them.
Vitamin D deficiency over there.
Yeah, here in Ohio, and then
they don't have the sun in Ohio. That's why everybody tries to be an astronaut from there, so they can go up to the sun because they don't have it in Ohio.
That's a true statement. 7 months out of the year is cold and frigid. That's why heroin is the big thing out there.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's why it almost feels like she's, I think she's doing drugs in this one, right? Or she works at the record shop. She's got
Yeah, and
tattoos now. She's got like ratty hair.
and she lives in like the back office of a Hot Topic with graffiti all over the walls and gum and old stickers.
Yeah. So. I did like her girlfriend though that dressed up as what's his name?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. So I liked that. That was fun. I mean, there are a lot of things I do like about it. Do I like it as better as the other one? I think I just expected, because I was so happy with the first one, that I was disappointed because the white horse has to go. That whole, every time we would stop, because there's a lot of momentum, it would stop because he's seeing. Again, we don't need to know, like, we already know what happened to him as a child. Like, why do it's almost like he still wants us to kind of see inside Michael's head. And these are the things that's driving him. But that's also like, okay, Pamela Voorhees with Jason that's already been done. We already have dreams. Nightmare on Elm Street. Did he do that on purpose? Or was that because he was rushed with the film? I don't fucking know. I think he had to get Sherry in there somehow. He could have put her in there as like a flashback or something. Like, he didn't need her to be in the whole fucking movie.
Now, did you guys like the Michael McDonald Dr. Loomis in this film, or like in Rob Zombie's ones in general?
I like Malcolm McDowell a lot. I root for him. He is not the best actor. I will be completely blunt, but I like him, which is weird. Like Clockwork Orange, I think he's very, very good in. And I don't know that he's necessarily acting so much as that tantruming nature is just kind of the age that he might have been at. And also Kubrick was kind of a wizard at pulling out performances from people they could never really recreate. But whenever I see Malcolm McDowell in something, like, I will always try and go out of my way to watch him. And I think he did a really good job. Like you said, they're very, very big shoes to fill with one Donald Pleasence. So I think that he did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do like that twist at the end with Lori losing her shit. So I think that was really good. If you wanted to keep it going, that would have been a good place to pick up, but I'm glad that it didn't, because I don't think we needed it. So, and then, we have the new one, but I don't think we need to talk about the new one.
Well, maybe we can make a little blurb on there so we can get the metadata.
In 2018, she has a rifle and frizzy hair. If she traded in the rifle, she could buy conditioner, which would resolve her frizzy hair. The rifle doesn't do any good, so she should have traded it in for conditioner for the aforementioned frizzy hair. That's my TED Talk on 2018.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Now, did you guys like the 2018 one?
Yeah.
I like the soundtrack more than the movie. I'll be honest with you. Like, it was going into it, and it's like, okay, it's just another, like, it's Marvel What If, and I haven't watched Marvel What If because I've read those comics for years. And the whole, like, wouldn't it be crazy if blah? I mean, I already saw the retread. I already saw them do it again. And it's not as though this is something that's so unheard of. It's not like Laurie Strode in space or, on a fucking aircraft carrier or whatever. It's just like, it's very well worn territory. It is done well. It's just narratively, it didn't kind of need to exist to me. So I think what will really characterize how I feel about it is how the next two are. If we get like a really good cohesive trilogy, then 2018 Kills and Ends, I think, could be like my favorite. But I think it's going to be so dependent because I keep talking about the next one kind of ruins it. 4 is good, 5 kind of ruins it. H2O is good, Resurrections kind of ruined it. So, Adrian, what about you?
I think it's good. I don't. There are parts about it that were scary. I felt like that brought you back to the first one, especially like with the babysitter. He's in the closet. That was really, like, that was scary to me. And there's parts where he's really savage when he kills the young boy in the car. And there's things things like that going on. I do know that there was a lot of drama, not a lot of drama, but I know that Danielle Harris had made a comment about the new one because she was pissed off that, we're going to incorporate Laurie with another daughter, but it's not Jamie. So I get it. I guess a lot of people who are really into the 4 and 5, why they wouldn't like this one, because now we have a brand new daughter and a granddaughter and all the shit going on. I feel like Judy Greer is more reminiscent of Jamie Lee Curtis, I guess, in that way, because they're both kind of, like lanky like that. So I think it's good. I think that I don't know. like I feel like Danny McBride now is trying to like get his hand in these like horror movies.
That's the thing. Danny
The fact that he's
McBride's
attached to it. I'm like, what?
well, you could like I remember when I enjoyed it when I saw it in the theater, and then when I bought the DVD of it, I was like, oh, on the second watch, it's like, it's not as good as I remember it. But like you can tell, like that's what distracted me. The whole some of the dialogue with Danny, Danny McBride. Like when he's like, oh, these women were feeding me guacamole in all these sexy ways. I'm like, yeah, that's a Seth Rogen joke, you know. Like it just didn't fit, you know what I mean? And I don't know. For me, like that's what always it pulled. Like I remember in the theater when I heard that when they said that line of dialogue, I'm like, oh, I'm thinking of This Is the End and all those other stoner movies.
Yeah, that's so it's a little reminiscent of that. Do we need the jokes in it? I feel like we need them now because you know how people are. We talked about this before. The kids now need something to keep their attention, right? They can't just sit there and not get on their fucking phone. Like, I mean, I remember when I saw the Halloween 2018, I was pissed off because some motherfucker next to us, well, not next to us, but in front of us, like he had his phone and he's taping it on his phone so he can make a story. Like he's at the theater. What? You motherfucker, nobody gives a fuck that you're at the movies. Like, why are you taping the opening? Like, that is so tacky. And I'm thinking, oh, because these goddamn kids just can't sit here without I sound like an old lady. Oh my God.
We are old. We're in our 30s. We need to get AARP
My
in here.
Botox was tingling while the man was filming the screen.
It was. And
then there was a train on the screen and it scared me because I thought it was a real train.
I just don't understand. Like, if you're going to be on the phone, why even go to the movies? Like, just stream it from home and that's it, But I think that I'm really hopeful for Halloween Kills. I think it comes out this weekend, right? So.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you see the controversy in the news again?
I saw
the firefighters are like, you need to cancel Halloween Kills or at least cut out the firefighter scenes. I'm like, well, what happened to the cops? The cops are getting killed in all these movies. Like, well, they don't count because they don't get hurt. I don't.
Yeah, they die. A cop dies in part 2.
Yeah. So I'm like, you guys are bringing. Maybe they're trying to do that purposely. Some movies do that. They make their own firefighters. Like, hey, can you get rid of the firefighter scenes and that'll bring free advertising for us?
Oh, I thought it was
so they could do the Red Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is they're public servants. They don't need advertising because, as I am a public servant, we're just the piss-ons of the society, right? So the only ones who think they're special really are the cops. Let's be honest. So, and none of us get paid well. So there's something we have in common. Yay.
Yeah. Seriously.
I just thought it was a mass murder that they were pissed off about. So I didn't read the whole thing. I really don't care. Like, I don't think they should cut anything out. It's a fucking horror movie and people die. Like,
There'd be like people like alligators or crocodiles being upset at Lake Placid, being like, hey, not all of us are bloodthirsty. Some of us are vegan. Okay. That's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah. So whatever.
Lake Placid though, huh? That's some good shit. That's better than like 5 of these fucking Halloween movies.
Oh my God. Although Betty White is in it. I do love that movie, but
Fuck
shush.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, I guess we're coming up towards the end of the episode. We've been gabbing a very long time now. So
now, if you say for someone who's never seen any of the Halloweens, and maybe I'm obviously making the question obvious. If you had to give someone was over, like, let's watch a Halloween movie, and they've never seen it, which Halloween movie would you have them watch?
Oh.
Which is your favorite?
They've never seen any of them.
They've never seen any of them. They think Michael Myers is like, oh, is that the guy with the chainsaw and the finger gloves?
See, that's the hard thing because I feel like a duty this is something I always get frustrated with the show. It's like, my opinion doesn't mean fucking shit. Nobody else's opinion should mean anything to you. I mean, unless you're looking at it for validation, I guess. But like contrarian opinions, you're never going to change somebody's opinion on the internet. Just who gives a shit, right? So I've always felt like my duty on the show is to be something of a film historian to a certain degree, talking about technical elements, trivia, so much so that people call me a bug man or something. And so I feel like what I would probably do is be duty bound to go, well, here's your fucking film history. Let me kind of edify you and supplant some of the information and talk about how quaint and meager these beginnings are. I think I'd have to start with one and going all the way back to hey, their production assistants were having to grab handfuls of leaves and just throw them around to make it look like this. And that's like the kind of ingenuity and stuff that you're dealing with. But I mean, I wouldn't offend me if you said, I mean, any of them really, because like I could totally see showing someone Resurrections as their first one to be like, hey, it's all uphill from here.
So what's your personal favorite one then?
I think it really depends on who the person is. So if it's someone that I think that is a more appreciative of film and can get the, you know, the pacing and be okay with pacing, then part one, right? If, you know, it's someone I know who does not like a slow burn, like Dan, for example,
Yeah.
I would show him, I would definitely show him Rob Zombie's Halloween, just so that you would have a beginning of sorts, right? And I have, like, we were gonna go see when Halloween first started dating. We were gonna go watch Halloween at midnight at the Enzion because we went to a Halloween party there. And I was like, you know what, let's go, because I don't think you're gonna want to sit through this. We went home, I put it on, and
circumstance helps.
yeah, he fell right asleep. So I knew. So I showed him Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then since then he's seen the first one. But same thing with Evil Dead. I showed him the new one, and then bring back the old one. I mean, you know, it again, it depends on who it is. Like, who's gonna sit through it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want somebody watching it that I know is gonna hate it, talk shit about it for, you know, hour. Like, to me, that's not fun, and I wouldn't subject them to something I know they would hate. So.
What about you, Doug? Who would,
So,
you know?
So I thought about this. I gave this question some thought, maybe about 5 minutes. But that honestly, if I was going to get someone new that has not seen a Halloween movie, I would give them Halloween 4. And the reason I say that, I know. And the reason I say that is because it's the one that's drenched most in the Halloween atmosphere, like that opening scene with like the and the thing is, you don't have to watch the other ones to understand Halloween 4. And you know what I mean? Like you get
true.
They explain it. You get that guy that looks scarier than Michael Myers. That guy at the end. He's like telling the whole backstory of exposition. And then you get I don't know. I just feel like Halloween 4 is the one that I would probably show people that have never seen it before, because you get the action. You get. I think it's scary, them chasing around Jamie around as a kid. That's pretty horrifying. And then you get the crazy rednecks that get killed, you know, in the back. So it's Halloween 4 is like the perfect mixture of somewhat of the first one, somewhat of a little bit of the Rob Zombie one, and a little bit of the new 2018 one. So it kind of mixes those in a blender, as weird as that is. But I feel like I would show people 4 if they've never seen it before first, or if they just want to watch one movie.
To a beautiful oblivion.
Yeah,
When I'm through with you. You mentioned a blender, and so I'm like, oh, Eve 6. I think that's actually a pretty damn good analysis. Short for the mask being somewhat terrible. I've always wanted to like learn computers really well, or get some like high functioning piece of shit and see if I could deep fake his mask.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't like the mask either at first, but it grew on me. I'm like, you know, because he gets it from like a dollar store. I'm like, it makes sense. It looks so cheap that it's spooky. Yeah.
And that's where the paper mache mask from Rob Zombie works so well, because it's cheap. It makes logical sense that it's cheap, but it also has such a great effect of looking fucking haggard and just like every dirty thing that Rob Zombie puts on screen.
Yeah. And to mention that too, Halloween Horror Nights, the one in California, they had a maze specifically made Halloween for the return of Michael Myers. So they made it specifically for that. And then I almost forgot to him, like you get that really cool scene with Dr. Loomis in the gas station. You get him all bandaged up, which I think that's a really cool Michael Myers look with the bandaged look face at so I don't know. I feel like that one mixes a lot of the films that it makes it very easy for someone to watch that one for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the way you just said that, the Dr. Loomis, for some reason, it reminded me of The Simpsons with the musical version of Planet of the Apes with Dr. Zaius. And so I'm thinking I'm Rock Me Dr. Loomis is in my head right now, but I'm buying everything you're selling. I would start with 4 as well now.
Yeah, just because it has everything there. You don't have to like get loose ends. You don't have to start out with the slower first one. And then, of course, you know, you'll probably get people cosplaying Dr. Loomis after that one, going to coffee shops and saying, he had the blackest coffee, the darkest coffee, the devil's coffee. You know, he's ordering coffee.
That's cute. I like that. I agree. That's fun. Well, I think that we've come to the end of the episode. So I'm really glad that we got to talk about Halloween this month, you know, because Halloween is coming up and I feel it's only fitting, even though I know everyone's done it. But I hope that we came at it for our listeners in a very unique kind of way.
And
So
a self-contained way. I mean,
Yeah.
I love this Spook House podcast, but Jesus, an entire month of this would have liquefied my brain.
No, that's what
gotcha.
Ghostbusters did. I don't even want to see the new Ghostbusters because of the whole month we did for the other.
Fuck off, Finn Wolfhard. I don't got time for your shit.
Yeah.
So fucking sick of it. No, just kidding.
Finn
But-
Wolfhard needs to shut his mouth. He's always, every picture I see of him, he's always like,
Oh, I
Like
know.
drooling.
Yeah.
Patrick Starr.
yeah, like, I'm famous.
So anything that we want to peddle, gentlemen, before we go?
Well, you can always reach out to slasherspod@gmail.com or the link tree, which is linktr.ee/slasherspod, has links to fucking everything, which would include the Patreon, which is a place where you could just throw sweaty handfuls of cash. There's also coffee, where you could throw a one-time sweaty handful of cash. There's buy me a cup of coffee, where you don't even have to buy coffee. You can just throw an aforementioned sweaty handful of cash. And Doug, I seem to think that you may have some kind of on-screen presence on a Roku device. Am I right?
Yes, and you don't have to hack your Roku devices. So every Friday night at 8 p.m., I host Friday Night Action. It's a show where we show a bunch of crazy movies, rare movies, and horror movies in between. So this week, well, this is going to be coming out early, but I just did a film you guys are going to love. It's basically Nightmare on Elm Street meets Vietnam War. I've never seen it before. I never even heard of it before, but that's the kind of stuff we show, really weird, obscure shit that's been kind of lost to VHS times. And that's B Movie TV on Roku. And yeah, you could see Jake on there too, Saturdays at 10.
I'm super into your movie, so I think we're definitely gonna have to sit down and watch that in the midst of everything we have going on this month.
Mhm.
Definitely. Well, I'm about to, after we're done filming or recording this, then I got to film the intro and outro for that. So
Oh,
Get on it. And then
fun.
Adrian, let's say I wanted to cover my boobs in something slashers oriented. How would I do that?
Oh, you would just go over to slasherspod.redbubble.com where you can get all of our Slashers Pod merch. I don't have anything on today because I wanted to wear something like Halloween related and orange, but usually we have so many fun little designs up there, all by Jake. Please come and support us with very minimal profit. We just want you to have our stuff so that you can be excited. And when you're at a Halloween Horror Nights, someone's like, oh man, I love your shirt. You can be like, oh yeah, listen to Slashers Pod. We're on everything. So hopefully that happens.
Literally can't be easier. Please just click the fucking link.
I know. So, we had a lot of fun with you guys. We still have our Patreon episode, I guess. But other than that, like this is our last week of Talktober. So happy Halloween, everybody. And on behalf of Jake and Doug, goodbye and good day.